Listen carefully to those words. This Peter Obi anthem was recorded for the 2023 presidential election. But 3 years later, its message sounds even more urgent. At first, it may sound like an ordinary campaign song, energetic, entertaining, and strongly supportive of Peter Obi. But hidden inside the lyrics are 7 important warnings about leadership, competence, unity, political participation, and Nigeria's future. Make sure you watch until the end, because the 7th warning may be the most important, especially if Peter Obi contests the next presidential election and the obedient movement genuinely wants him to win. Did Nigerians ignore these warnings in 2023? And are we in danger of repeating the same mistakes? It was more than a campaign song praising Peter Obi. It was a political message wrapped inside music. Let us examine its 7 warnings, one after another. Warning number 1. Political change requires commitment. Are you obedient? I am obedient. Are you obedient? We are obedient. The first warning is that political change requires commitment. Are you obedient? Was not merely a catchy question. For Peter Obi's supporters, it became a way of asking, are you genuinely committed to building a different kind of Nigeria? Being obedient should not mean following one politician blindly. It should mean committing yourself to the principles that the movement claims to represent: accountability, competence, prudent management of public resources, and service to the people. A political movement cannot survive when its supporters appear only during presidential elections and disappear immediately afterwards. If the obedient movement wants to win political power, it must become more than a social media identity. It must be present in communities, wards, local government areas, and polling units. It must continue organizing, educating, and engaging Nigerians, even when there is no election taking place. So, the first warning is this. Political change requires consistent commitment, not seasonal excitement. But commitment alone is not enough. Citizens must also understand that every political decision affects their future. Warning number 2. The vote you cast today determines tomorrow. Peter Obi, not my president you be. We all want better tomorrow. The second warning is that the vote we cast today helps determine the kind of tomorrow we will experience. An election is not merely a competition to decide who will occupy Oso Rock. It affects the price of food, the availability of jobs, the security of our communities, the quality of our schools and hospitals, and the opportunities available to our children. A better tomorrow does not appear automatically. It is influenced by the quality of leadership citizens choose or allow to emerge. When people vote based only on ethnicity, religion, party loyalty, temporary gifts, or emotional propaganda, they may spend the following years living with the consequences. A bag of rice may finish in a few days, but the person elected could control the country's resources and policies for 4 years. Therefore, warning number 2 is: think beyond election day. Your vote has long-term consequences. Warning number 3. Never reward incompetence. Obi not the person we need. Warning number 3. Never reward incompetence. Me no want olodo. Obi not the person we need. If you want better tomorrow, no go vote olodo. This is perhaps the bluntest warning in the entire anthem. If you want better tomorrow, no go vote olodo. Olodo is a Yoruba word commonly used to describe someone considered unintelligent, incapable, or incompetent. But in politics, an olodo decision is not necessarily made by someone without certificates. Highly educated people can still make decisions that are poorly planned, contradictory, wasteful, or completely disconnected from the suffering of the population. This anthem was recorded 3 years ago. So, let us use its own language to examine some decisions and events under today's government. What does olodo governance look like in practice? Olodo Act Number 1, removing the fuel subsidy without adequate preparation. President Bola Tinubu announced the end of the fuel subsidy during his inaugural address on May 29, 2023. The argument for removing the subsidy was understandable. The system was expensive, corrupt, and unsustainable. But the question was never only whether the subsidy should be removed. The more important questions were, how should it be removed? What protections should be prepared for ordinary Nigerians? What should be done about transportation, food prices, workers' wages, and the businesses that depend on fuel. When people criticized the implementation, government supporters responded. But Peter Obi also said he would remove the subsidy. Yes, Peter Obi said he would remove it. But supporting the same objective does not mean supporting the same method. There is a difference between removing a subsidy gradually, according to an organized plan, and simply announcing its removal before adequate protections are ready. Two doctors may agree that a damaged limb must be treated. But one prepares the patient, controls the pain and follows a medical procedure. The other begins cutting without preparation. The objective may be the same, but the competence demonstrated is not the same. So Nigerians are entitled to ask, was it intelligent economic management to impose the full pain of the policy before adequate protection reached the people? Or was that an example of the olodo decision-making this anthem warned against? Olodo Act No. 2, condemning Peter Obi, and later accepting American military assistance. Another example concerns Donald Trump's threat of American military intervention over Nigeria's insecurity. When Peter Obi made comments interpreted as welcoming American intervention, Presidential Advisor Bayo Onanuga accused him of supporting a foreign invasion. He even said the government would neither forget nor forgive Obi. But what happened afterwards? The Nigerian government eventually cooperated with the United States on military operations against terrorists. American forces conducted strikes in northwestern Nigeria as part of security cooperation with the Nigerian authorities. A United States military team was subsequently sent to support Nigeria with specialized capabilities. Let us be fair, an unauthorized invasion is not legally or politically the same as military assistance accepted and coordinated by the Nigerian government. That distinction matters. But it also exposes the recklessness of the earlier political attack. If foreign security assistance could eventually be accepted under agreed conditions, why did government representatives behave as if Peter Obi had personally invited a foreign army to conquer Nigeria? Why did they focus on attacking an opposition figure instead of addressing the substance of his concern, that Nigerians were being killed and the government had failed to provide adequate security? Foreign assistance was apparently not the real taboo. The problem seemed to be who raised the matter and who controlled the political narrative. So, which is more responsible, admitting that Nigeria needs help to confront terrorism, or attacking anyone who says so and later accepting that assistance? Olodo Act No. 3, a fake agency entering the federal system. Then came the extraordinary case of the alleged fake government agency called the Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council. According to reports, the agency had no proper legal recognition. Yet, it reportedly obtained office space in Abuja, conducted official-looking engagement and appeared in the 2026 federal budget with an allocation of approximately 1.3 billion naira. The man accused of operating it, Adeniyi Adeyemi Matthew, is facing allegations of forgery and impersonation. The presidency ordered an investigation, and the budget office said it prevented the release of funds. Therefore, we should not claim that all the allocated money was released or that every allegation has already been proven in court. But the government's explanation raises an even more disturbing question. If this man was merely an independent conman, how did his allegedly fake agency pass through so many layers of the federal system? How did it obtain an office? How did it conduct official-looking meetings? And, most importantly, how did an agency that supposedly did not exist find its way into the federal budget? If the defense is that one man deceived the entire system, that defense does not make the government look competent. It exposes the weakness of its internal controls. Either powerful people helped the operation, or the federal system was so poorly supervised that an alleged imposter penetrated it. Neither explanation inspires confidence. If a supposedly fake agency can enter the national budget, what other questionable agencies, projects, and allocations may be hiding inside documents that ordinary Nigerians never examine? Is that not exactly the type of institutional olodo the anthem warned Nigerians against? Olodo Act No. 4, luxury for leaders and survival businesses for citizens. Finally, look at the contrast between what political leaders approve for themselves and the level of economic ambition offered to struggling Nigerians. At a time of severe economic hardship, federal lawmakers defended the purchase of expensive SUVs. The presidency also defended acquiring an Airbus A330 for presidential travel, reportedly valued at approximately $100 million. Then Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Olurimi Tinubu, encouraged vulnerable women to consider small businesses such as frying akara, roasting corn, and producing kuli-kuli, explaining that they require little capital and that grants were being provided. Let us be clear, there is absolutely nothing shameful about selling akara, roasted corn, or kuli-kuli. Honest work deserves respect. The problem is the contrast in the government's level of ambition. For members of the political establishment, the conversation is about luxury SUVs, presidential aircraft, and expensive official privileges. For poor citizens, the vision too often appears to stop at petty survival businesses. Why should the government not be discussing how Nigerian women can own factories, mechanized farms, technology companies, food processing businesses, and industries capable of employing thousands? Why is sacrifice repeatedly demanded from ordinary Nigerians while the political class struggles to reduce its own luxuries? That is the deeper meaning of olodo governance, not akara itself, but leadership that places survival before the people and luxury before those in power. Closing warning number 3. So, when the anthem says, "If you want better tomorrow, no go vote olodo," it is not asking Nigerians merely to insult politicians. It is asking them to recognize the evidence of incompetence. A poorly planned policy is evidence. A government that contradicts itself is evidence. An allegedly fake agency entering the federal budget is evidence. And a political class that demands sacrifice from hungry citizens while protecting its own privileges is also evidence. Before supporting any candidate, Nigerians must investigate that person's record, judgment, priorities, and capacity. Do not listen only to campaign promises. Examine what the candidate has already done with power. Because when citizens reward incompetence with another 4 years, they should not be surprised when incompetence produces even greater hardship. But government incompetence is only one part of the problem. The greater tragedy would be for citizens to witness all these decisions, endure the resulting hardship, watch political leaders live in luxury while ordinary people are told to accept poverty, and then refuse to consider that record when voting again. Citizens should not allow party loyalty, ethnicity, religion, or temporary election gifts to prevent them from examining what this government has done with power. A government may make olodo decisions, but voters must not respond with an olodo decision of their own. This is not about insulting anyone who previously voted for the APC. People are entitled to support the candidate of their choice. It is about refusing to vote blindly. If a government has increased your hardship, taken your sacrifices for granted and protected the privileges of political leaders, you have a responsibility to ask serious questions before rewarding that government with another 4 years. The nation may already have identified examples of olodo governance. The warning now is that citizens must not ignore the evidence placed before them. Because when people knowingly reward failure, they do not only empower those who failed them, they help to preserve the system responsible for their suffering. Therefore, warning number 3 remains. Do not reward incompetence with political power. And do not allow political loyalty to turn your own vote into an olodo decision. But recognizing incompetence is not enough. Those who desire change must be prepared to leave the sidelines and work for it. Warning number 4. Change will not come from the sidelines. On your marks, let's go. As you see me so, I dey front line. I dey front line. The 4th warning is that change will not come from the sidelines. I dey front line means, I am not merely watching other people struggle. I am actively participating. Too many Nigerians complain about the condition of the country but withdraw from the political process. Some do not register to vote. Some register but remain at home on election day. Others limit their participation to posting, commenting and arguing on social media. Social media can create awareness, but elections are ultimately won and protected through organization at the grassroots and participation at polling units. Being on the front line does not mean engaging in violence. It means registering, organizing, educating voters, volunteering, attending lawful political activities, voting and demanding accountability. As Peter Obi contests the next election, online popularity alone will not be enough. Supporters must move from social media spaces into communities, markets, schools, villages, wards and polling units. Therefore, warning number 4 is: a better country will not be built by spectators. But Nigerians cannot build that country successfully while politicians continue dividing them along ethnic and religious lines. Warning number 5. Division makes citizens easier to manipulate. With one mind, make we unite. Do the right thing. This is one of the most important messages in the anthem. The song calls on Nigerians to unite with one mind and do the right thing. Nigeria's political class understands how easily citizens can be divided by ethnicity, religion, and region. When elections approach, people suffering from the same problems begin fighting one another instead of questioning those seeking political power. But hunger does not ask for your tribe. Unemployment does not recognize your religion. Insecurity does not check your political party membership before it strikes. Bad roads, failing hospitals, and poor electricity affect Nigerians across different regions. With one mind, make we unite was a warning that citizens cannot defeat bad governance while allowing politicians to turn them against one another. Do the right thing also means voting according to conscience, not because of intimidation, inducement, ethnic pressure, or religious manipulation. If Peter Obi and the Obedient movement want to build a national victory, they must reach beyond their strongest support bases and speak convincingly to Nigerians in every region. So, warning number 5 is: a divided population is easier to manipulate and control. The appeal for unity became even more urgent because the song recognized that Nigeria was already in serious difficulty. Warning number 6. Nigeria cannot continue on an unsustainable path. Situation don't get as e be. In Nigerian pidgin, situation don't get as e be means the situation has become extremely difficult, troubling, or almost unbearable. Even before the 2023 election, Nigerians were expressing deep concern about insecurity, unemployment, poverty, debt, and the rising cost of living. The song was warning that Nigeria could not continue traveling along the same road and expect to arrive at a different destination. This is where Peter Obi's own voice in the anthem becomes important. What I want to do is to take Nigeria from consumption to production. That was the economic alternative being presented. Moving Nigeria from consumption to production means building an economy that produces more food, manufactures more goods, supports businesses, creates jobs, and earns income. It means investing in electricity, agriculture, manufacturing, education, infrastructure, and small businesses so that Nigerians can produce more of what the country consumes. Nigeria cannot build lasting prosperity by depending excessively on imports, borrowing, and the distribution of government revenue. Whether one supports Peter Obi or not, this underlying warning deserves serious consideration. A country that consumes far more than it produces cannot achieve lasting prosperity. But the song did not stop after identifying Nigeria's problems. It gave every citizen a practical responsibility. Warning number 7. Desire without electoral participation changes nothing. My brother, my sister, get your PVC. Make we unite to vote Obi. This may be the most important and practical warning in the anthem. You may want better leadership. You may complain about hardship. You may attend rallies and passionately support your preferred candidate on social media. But if you do not register, obtain your PVC and vote, your political desire may produce nothing. The PVC represents the democratic power of the Nigerian citizen. But getting the PVC is only the beginning. Citizens must also come out on election day, vote, monitor the process lawfully, and insist that every valid vote is counted. Political movements must recruit and train agents for polling units. They must organize at ward and local government levels. They must educate supporters about the voting process and prepare lawfully to document irregularities. The movement must also convince those who did not support Peter Obi in 2023. It cannot speak only to people who are already obedient, Kwankwasia, or OK movement supporters. As Peter Obi contests the next presidential election, enthusiasm must be converted into organization, organization into votes, and votes into a properly defended democratic mandate. Therefore, warning number 7 is: if responsible citizens refuse to participate, other people will make the decision for them. The message in different Nigerian languages. For the good of Nigeria, make we vote Peter Obi. Listen carefully to how this message is delivered in different Nigerian languages. That was not accidental. It presented the campaign as a national movement that should cross ethnic, religious, and regional boundaries. The message was that Nigeria's future should be more important than the language we speak, the region we come from, or the ethnic identity of any candidate. The singers were not simply saying, "Vote for one of us." They were presenting Peter Obi as someone they believed could serve the good of Nigeria as a whole. Any movement that wants to govern Nigeria must build trust across the entire country. It must listen to the fears and aspirations of different communities and convince Nigerians that nobody will be excluded. Conclusion. So, did Nigerians ignore these 7 warnings? The honest answer is, not everyone ignored them. Millions of Nigerians embraced the message, joined the obedient movement, collected their PVCs and voted according to their convictions. But the more important question is no longer only what happened in 2023. The question now is whether Nigerians, and the obedient movement itself, have learnt enough to avoid repeating past mistakes. Will competence finally matter more than sentiment? Will supporters move from social media excitement to grassroots organization? Will the movement reach people outside its existing political base? Will Nigerians reject ethnic and religious division? Will citizens collect their PVCs, vote and participate lawfully in protecting the democratic process? And will Nigeria finally choose production over endless consumption? This anthem may have been recorded for the 2023 election, but its message is still speaking. Commit yourself to genuine change. Think about tomorrow. Reject incompetence. Leave the sidelines. Unite across divisions. Recognize the seriousness of Nigeria's situation. And use your PVC. The song may have ended, but the warnings have not. What do you think? Did Nigerians ignore these warnings, or was the people's will frustrated by weaknesses in the political and electoral system? And here is a special question for the comment section. Of all the decisions made by the APC-led government, which one do you consider the clearest example of the olodo governance this anthem warned Nigerians about? Was it the manner in which the fuel subsidy was removed? Was it the contradiction over American security assistance? Was it the alleged fake agency that entered the federal budget? Was it the luxury spending by political leaders while ordinary Nigerians were asked to survive on less? Or is there another decision you consider even worse? Tell us which one you chose and explain why. Please keep the conversation factual and respectful. Let us document the record together. Like this video, share it to educate others, subscribe to this channel and turn on your notification bell. This is the Critical Lens Africa, where we go beyond the headlines.